What will happen at the borders if there is something, if there is an invading enemy? People don't think. Everything is centralized in Yaoundé. And what they say is they should swallow hook and sinker. What Yaoundé says should be swallowed hook and sinker. What they decide as a solution should be their own. We are even a planet. It's unfortunate that we continue to talk about something that is not even supposed to exist. Babila, I came to the universities in the 90s. We had our small jabs that were throwing at each other. I lived and I worked in Yaoundé before I became a lawyer. I never had any problem with my French brothers and thereabout. But politicians have decided to build their base by emptying youth, by destroying a whole generation, because all of those that are dying are of our generation. And politicians are aging out, and it doesn't bother them.
The last report of the United Nations Humanitarian Coordination Agency, the issue of children being deprived of education came out, and it was indicated in that report that there are still so many schools that are still closed to today, that are not functioning, and many children who have been deprived of their right to education because of this situation.
Right to education, sacrosanct, universal right. It's a right that you don't tamper on it. It's an inalienable right, because you and I, Babila, if we didn't go to school, we'll not be able to sit here and we have this conversation, we have this discussion, we have this show. Right to education. But how does that operate within a war context? Well, how does that operate? Look at where the military were targeted on the highway. Talk about schools in the hinterlands. You see, some of them have not even been attacked. Some have been converted by the Ambazonan fighters and separatist fighters to their camps. Some are not even occupied. But to revamp them, it takes a lot of money. It is unfortunate that we are talking about depriving rights to education. Those that have run like internal displaced, they are struggling to feed themselves somewhere, and they cause more problems, and they become collateral again, collateral damage even to the communities they find themselves. Babila, I live, I practice, I do lawyering, I do leg work in my lawyering. I intervene in cases. And if I were to give you just the issues that internally displaced from the Northwest and Southwest region, some of them have here, and politicians will sit on platforms and they run their mouths and they're telling you as peace is coming, some even deceive, some NGOs are feeding on them, and at the end of the day, the grass below, the children are being smashed. The children are being smashed. And what will become of our future? Because the future that the government is preaching in favor, who are we going to prepare? A good system prepares their successors. Babila Jonathan, you are a man. In your house today, if you don't prepare your successor, who will succeed you? In your profession today, if you don't prepare somebody who takes over from you, who will succeed you? If I don't prepare my own successor, the system is supposed to prepare successors. But you see, it's lacking today because animosity has been planted. There is kind of divide and rule. There are certain activities that you cannot even measure them today. I mean, people have gone out of the normal norm of the society. So, when you pose these questions, I'm baffled. I'm even confused when I even give some of these answers, because the answers are real. I don't understand. We are not a class country where everybody in the whole world will say, sit down, they should get to the table and talk. What suddenly happened between the English-speaking community, the then Southern Cameroons and the West Cameroons and East Cameroon? What happened, Jonathan, that we cannot sit? We have better results that were produced by our elder brothers, senior lawyers, AA2, AAC1, AAC2. When you read some of those things that were brought to table in 1996 to come up with a constitution, they had talked about a federal system of government. What is happening?
It has become become almost a taboo.
And from the beginning of this crisis, it was a taboo.
Now, about the prevailing situation, what is your perception of the fact that in this volatile situation, administrative authorities are giving injunctions, giving ultimatums to civil servants to go back to their duty post for those who have abandoned their duty post because of the security instability? The most recent came from the division officer of Ndu, who is telling civil servants, go back to your duty post or you will be sanctioned. Measures, disciplinary measures will be taken against you. Now the question is, should they put their lives on the line?
But Babila, what is good for the goose should always be good for the gander. If I were to prefer a solution to the state of Cameroon, which is an impossible solution to what you are saying, it will be that all the administrators of Cameroon should be removed to the northwest and the southwest region to face the heat that the other, especially teachers, are facing. It would appear the teachers have been targeted. It appears teachers in particular have been targeted.
Those administrators have
the administrators,
military vehicles,
they have armored vehicles,
soldiers protecting them.
They have soldiers, they sleep well in fenced houses, and this is what we are talking, Babila. In a country where you preach peace, you must preach justice and you must preach equality. A teacher has the right to his own security, just like the civil administrator. This is where it hurts that somebody in the name of a civil administrator, he sees an impossibility. He sends you to the forefront. How does that occur? If you are doing that with the necessary security measures, if these schools were manned by military forces, you could understand that. But when you hear some of these things, it only translates the fact that
between the school and their homes,
yes,
will
anything can
civil
happen.
Servant be accompanied by
that is the situation.
3, 4, 5 soldiers. And so on.
So when you see them, they are helpless. Such communiques are coming from administrators that are helpless. They just want to please Yaoundé. They just want Yaoundé to hear that they are taking some measures. They know those are dead measures from the beginning. They are dead from departure. Because how would you justify the fact that even as a civil administrator with your own security, you are not safe? It's not long. An administrator was kidnapped in Donga and Mantung division. They said he came out after some hours. How was he kidnapped despite the security that he had? What about a teacher? I will not even call, I don't want to call it. What about teachers? And you know where the schools are found. So when we talk about injunctions that are being given, instead of giving injunctions, Jonathan, this injunction should be transformed into a peace talk, a peace and reconciliation talk between the belligerents, not politicians. Call the Anglophones or the English-speaking community that have nothing to do with politics in this country to talk, because politicians have never spoken for them.
Especially those who are asking for.
We should call the Naira 10. They should call Ayuk Tabi and his team. That they purported he is the person that carried arms from the beginning. He is the person that preached an armed conflict, and they brought him into Cameroon, and they began talking to him at volley. They struggled again, and today even the people that attempted to talk with him are his co-inmates in Konegi. Why can't they not bring out Ayuk Tabi, the voice of Ayuk Tabi, and those they brought from Nigeria? Because they said these were the ringleaders. Today it has taken dimensions. They confuse it. The government knows exactly where the solution of this problem is, Babylon. Instead of getting into cosmetic solutions or struggling to think that the solution is in space or it is in another planet, even though we are another one, they should get these people. They should get onto a talking table And if the system wants to talk to them, they should forget about politicians. I'm saying that the head of state, if you could hear me, it is my prayer, Mr. Head of State, call Ayub Tabi and his team, and create your own independent commission that does not constitute politicians from the Northwest and Southwest region. It could be independent people from the Northwest and Southwest region, not politicians. And time is now to involve everybody, even what they call the national dialogue.
All right, I want to switch to the newsstands now, and we're going to take a look at what the newspapers reported this week. We'll be right back after the press review.